certainly do. And listen to this. Another Black Lives Matter leader running into some trouble with the law. The co-founder of the BLM chapter in Oklahoma City faces 25 federal counts and an alleged $3.1 million money laundering and embezzlement scheme. Tashella Dickerson is accused of diverting grant money meant for a bail fund into her personal account over a 5-year period. Prosecutors say she used the money on shopping sprees, trips to Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, 6 properties, and more than $50,000 in food deliveries. Dickerson reacting to the news saying, a lot of times when people come at you with these types of things, it's evidence that you are doing the work. That is what I'm standing on. The Powerball jackpot soaring to $1 billion. It is the 7th largest prize in the game's history. Wednesday night's numbers were 10, 16, 29, 33, 69, and the red Powerball of 22. Although no one walked away with a jackpot, 3 lucky people won $1 million after matching all 5 white balls. The next drawing is tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. And 'tis the season for sports. A new survey revealing 1 in 4 Americans plan their entire Christmas day around watching a big game. As a result, the timing of gift-giving meals and family visits depends on when NFL games kick off or which matchup schedule dominate the NBA schedule. Football is the clear Christmas favorite as more Americans surveyed associate the holiday with the NFL over the NBA. Interesting.
What are you doing? Help! Please!
Hey! Go on inside. Hey, get down from there! Get out off the roof! My car! Hey, what's in that bag?
Good job, Santa. All right, come on. Let's go. I'm getting tired of catching you.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. We are ready to close out this week. God in heaven, help us, the sweet Christmas child. Help us try and do a show that doesn't mention the absolute toxic nuclear sewage meltdown that is the conservative podcast influencer space right now. Please, Lord, help us, give us the power. Please, manger child Jesus, let us be at peace. We're going to try on this show. ALX and I worked for like an hour to try and get a show that didn't center around the absolute drama fit soap opera view, but like on steroids and on our side that is currently melting down right now. We probably won't be successful being able to stay out of it, but whatever. We're going to do our level-headed best because damn it, it's Christmas and we are thankful to God for another day. And I'm traveling right now with my kids in Washington, D.C. We're thankful for this studio here and we're going to try and practice gratitude. We're going to do it today on the show, Friday, December 12th, 2025. Light in the darkness, good over evil. Ladies and gentlemen, BLM leader finally charged with massive 7-figure fraud numbers. This embezzlement scheme could potentially be part of a larger RICO case against BLM, taking down the BLM organization, Antifa. This is what we've been calling for. This is what we called for yesterday on the program. Please, for the love of God, investigate these far left-wing terrorist groups and a terrorist group, BLM. Back in action, same time Kyle Rittenhouse is back in action. Did you see that? Kyle Rittenhouse returning. So BLM is returning to headlines and Kyle Rittenhouse is returning. All of life is a flat circle. Charlie Kirk's assassin smirks and chuckles during first in-person court appearance as, again, the podcast wars of 2025 continue their toxic meltdown. We will have a barn burner for you from Matt Walsh and a word of warning as we head into what will finally be a season of evidence presentation in this murder trial. A word of warning from a very, very wise man that we trust a lot on this program, Mike Cernovich. Greg Stubbe joins the show, great congressman from the state of Florida. And Shaney Rich, let's freaking go. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. I got at Klein, we're gonna try our best to start off with joy and happiness. It's the middle of December, dude. We're gonna bring you the Christmas ornaments. Let's freaking go. You know this. We are up against a deadline for the shipping of our Christmas ornaments. We have been doing our Christmas ornament promo. We want to be the #1 Christmas ornament salesman on Earth. And we even have our Charlie Kirk memorial right there, freedom flag. Ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to deck the halls with your Christmas tree filled with patriotic, memorable ornaments, well, head on over to the Benny store and click right now. $5 per ornament. It's cheaper than anything you can get from Communist China. It's made right here in America by the hands of veterans. Where's our tree of the day, Klein? Show me that tree of the day. I've gotten so many. Who do we got here? Let me see in the production chat. We are out of the two. Chelsea Chaplin right here. And nope. Oh, okay. Sorry. Sherry McFarland. There you go. Sherry McFarland is a beautiful tree. Look at that. Here's Chelsea Chaplin. There you go. Celeste. My apologies. Celeste, this is a beautiful Charlie Brown Christmas tree. We love it. Thank you for sending these in. It makes our season bright, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more week of the show for December, and then we're off to America Fest with Turning Point USA. And then we are going to be taking some much prayed for time to hopefully just recharge with our family. I am, again, traveling right now with all 4 of my little children, my wife, and we are going to be here in Washington, D.C. For the holiday Christmas party for kids. There's a kids Christmas party that I think like Melania runs, and we're going to be doing that on Sunday. Kate and I were at the White House last night for more of an adult Christmas party. This was an awesome evening. Tim Cook was there. That was weird. Franklin Graham, never got to meet him. That is awesome. Jack Posobiec, Michael Knowles, Kristi Noem, and it was the CIA director. I did not take a career-ending photo with the CIA director, I assure you. And no, he did not get a chance to plant a listening device on me or anything like that. But we did have a grand time at the White House. It was wonderful. President Trump was there. Donald Trump walked down the staircase at the White House, and the first thing that he said when he got to the end of the staircase was, Joe Biden couldn't do that. It was great. The president was in great spirits, and seeing all that holiday merriment kind of snapped my brain out of it. And it's like, geez, man, like here's Donald Trump coming down the stairs. There's like a little balcony there. And then they play the Hail to the Chief. This is Donald Trump pointing into the crowd. I think he's pointing at me. I think he's like, yo, what's up? I'm like so happy to see you. Oh, man, I appreciate that. Thanks, God. Thanks, Mr. President. Then he sees Franklin Graham. I'm sitting next to Franklin Graham. This is Billy Graham's son. And he's like, what's up? And Franklin Graham's there. And what a legendary evening. President Trump in great spirits, laughing, howling, having a wonderful time. And so it's like, it was kind of inspiring for us because I was like, man, honestly, if there's somebody who has the weight of the world on his shoulders, it's Donald Trump. He's Christmas maxing. You can Christmas max, and we can say Merry Christmas again. We are saying Merry Christmas again. There you go. The beautiful White House Christmas tree, my wife, and boy, look at that. I mean, geez, if you guys want to really go there, look at this spread. Holy moly. Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, anyway. We'll post something later in the day on it, later on the day. It's an honor to be able to bring you all with us. We're not doing this, obviously, to brag, but we are like very happy to be able to bring this audience along, live kind of this adventure together. That's why we love you so much, and it's why we're doing our level-headed best to deliver this Christmas season. First Liberty Institute is an institute that delivers on Christmas, delivers on being able to say Christmas again. The First Liberty Institute is the marquee institute for religious freedom in this country. They have the Religious Liberty States Index, and this First Liberty Institute has this index that they publish that tracks laws that are being enacted on a state level that go against our God-given right to worship and to believe in a savior and a creator. Most importantly, this time of year, Ladies and gentlemen, they don't charge a dime if you want to go ahead and check where your state lies in this index. If you want to find out, go to firstlibertyinstitute.org/Benny. That's firstliberty.org/Benny. Firstliberty.org/Benny. And the First Liberty Institute will send you your state's ranking, and perhaps you can consider assisting them in making sure that we're fighting for liberty. They file lawsuits. They have a 9-0 record at the Supreme Court. They win 90% of their cases to protect religious freedom around the country. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, a fun and exciting night. We were also on Jesse Waters last night. So we're just like happy. We're just like rolling, man. We're just rolling. Nurse Kate's going to be on Kaylee McEnany's show tomorrow. So we're doing our best to fight for the culture. We're doing our best to fight for the things that Charlie fought for, man, which has been crazy. Because yesterday I wasn't planning on it. We were like chilling out, and I was like trying to detox from the nuclear civil war that's been going on. And obviously we said our piece yesterday. It took me an hour of ranting and screaming, but we said our piece yesterday. And if you missed the show, my piece is this. I'm like in the spirit of Christmas, I am going to try my best to embody what Charlie Kirk would want here. He wasn't one for flame wars. He was one to do his best to refocus on the true battle, which is the left. Charlie Kirk killed by a leftist. And I want to talk about that today on the program, because what an op to be able to switch that narrative around and to say that Charlie Kirk was actually killed by his own organization or by the right. Or by mysterious and evidence-free sources that is a counter-narrative that takes everybody's eyes off the ball and does not allow us this premier moment, an opportunity to look at what is truly attacking our side. And by our side, I mean freaking me and us. And I don't mean to make it all about me, but like, holy smokes, guys, there's like a ton of people that are currently in federal prison right now for assassination threats against my family. And I know that that is like 10 times for most like other creators, people in the space. There's like a person who gets locked up daily for trying to either assassinate or murder a member of the Trump administration. Just happened 2 days ago. 24 hours ago, Trisha McLaughlin, DHS, they arrested people that are trying to hang her publicly and kill ICE agents, shooting at ICE agents from sniper positions. So much of this stuff, man, so much of this stuff is like deteriorating. And we have this golden opportunity to really focus the attention of the country on the violent left. And that is what we're going to try and do with this program, to muscle through the distractions. What I tried to do yesterday was also with respect to this audience and respect to everything that we cover on this program, which is often federal fraudulence and lies against the truth that manipulate public opinion, that manipulate criminal events, that create criminal events. Your federal government has done this. Your federal government does this. Whether it's Matthew Thomas Crooks, Lee Harvey Oswald, the J6 pipe bomber, it's like obvious that there's a massive trust deficit. And in that vacuum, wild theories can germinate and can really gain traction because our institutions are so damn broken in this country. And that is what creates this environment. And so you can't have an honest conversation without acknowledging that and then demanding that we fix it. And the only way that you can fix it is through transparency. And the only way you can actually fix it is by broadcasting, showing the evidence in demonstrable fashion. And please, for the love of God, having a little courtesy for the widow who's grieving the death of her husband. Why does Erica Kirk look so sad? Well, because of the death of her husband. I mean, frankly, there's humanity that we used to have in this country. And I really am repulsed by the fact that we can't give the courtesy of grief to some people. It's sucked to have to live this out live on a camera. And I would ask that in this Christmas season, as Erica is asking right now, that everyone take like a giant breath and a deep step back and please recognize what everybody's been through for the last 90 days, how utterly insane this has all been and how quickly life is happening. It's been neck snapping. Give people grace, man. Give people the opportunity, give people a little space. And let's not lose ourselves and lose our minds. You know, I got to tell you, this is something that was really, I wasn't meaning to like give some long monologue on this morning, but I believe in thermodynamics, laws of physics, equal and opposite reactions. Energy can either be created or destroyed. And the reality was I spoke at Charlie's memorial along with a bunch of other members of the administration, very famous and powerful and popular people like Tucker Carlson. And what we said in the aftermath of that event was that was the single greatest apostolic event in human history. I think I can prove that empirically with the numbers, and that memorial was seen by hundreds of millions, if not billions of people. You have the President of the United States and his son, Don Jr., both sharing their faith in Jesus Christ. I was backstage at that event. Nobody was telling anyone what to say. Nobody was checking scripts. Nobody checked what I was going to say. Nobody was giving anyone talking points. The entire administration of our country, the most powerful country on earth, spoke in lockstep about religiosity, belief in God, everything from pure devotion to Jesus Christ, like Pete Hegseth, to RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, who do not talk about these subjects, and Don Jr., and Donald Trump, quite frankly, who does not normally veer into these subjects, talking about their faith, talking about their belief in God. It was this incredibly purifying moment, and everybody felt it. It was electric. It would make the hair on your neck stand up. It was the largest apostolic event in human history based on how many people could watch concurrently and live through technology. It was remarkable. And everybody left that event just like on angel's wings. I've never, and I don't think I ever will again, witness anything like it. And it's why I am going to be recreating that event every single year. And by me, I mean, I want Turning Point to do a Charlie Kirk Memorial event of praise and worship every single year that invites and includes political leaders, our government, so that we can like recommit ourselves to God and recommit ourselves to our Lord and Savior. It was incredible. Were you there? Did you watch it? Did you have the same feeling, chat? It was a remarkable and miraculous event, truly honoring Charlie and his legacy, a man who said constantly, I wish to be remembered for advancing the kingdom of God. Something Charlie always said. But evil watched that event. The kingdom of darkness watched that event. Watched the entire federal government profess their faith in Christ. And millions upon hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people will be witnessed to. Who knows how many people were saved because of that event? Who knows how many demons, were cast out because of that event? And that moment has to be counteracted. That's just the way it is. That's just the laws of thermodynamics. Until Christ returns and banishes evil for all time into the depths of hell, there is going to be an equal and opposite reaction to that good thing. There is going to be bad things that happen. This is just the way life works. It's called a life tax, right? You ever, doesn't this happen in your life? There's gonna be, you win $5 in the lottery, you step on a rake, bam. There's gonna be a balancing out. There's gonna be an equilibrium. And all of that good was going to be matched by the forces of evil and the forces of darkness coming in to try and destroy that incredible, solidifying, unifying event where our federal government was evangelizing for Christ. Like in mass, on stage, 300,000 people in person, hundreds of millions of other people watching online. And so this had to be counteracted. Bro, you had Elon Musk tweeting Bible verses. Elon Musk was staging a flame war, saying he was going to run a third party against Donald Trump. And this event brought Elon Musk and Donald Trump back together. Elon Musk tweeted, forgive us our transgressions as we forgive those who transgress against us. So Elon Musk is tweeting the Lord's Prayer? What is that? Well, of course, that had to be attacked by the forces of darkness, by Satan himself, by pure evil. We couldn't just let America have a Christian nationalist moment. Of course, we have to sink it down. And here's Elon Musk. Look at that. 52 million people right there. 52 million people saw that post from Elon Musk. Nearly 1 million likes. Wow. So, of course, that energy is going to be matched with darkness and evil. It's the Christmas season, and we're going to speak out against it. We're going to not play into the games and not play into the tricks and not be bothered or scream, cry, write novels about it, do our very level-headed best to keep our nose clean and not engage in flame wars and to just act like an adult here and to properly analyze exactly what's happening. And that's what it is. That's what's happening. And it's the same battle that's been going on for all of human history. Good versus evil, darkness versus light. And the light will win. And I want to show you the evil. And I want to show you exactly what the counteraction to that is. And the evil is this evil son of a bitch that was on trial yesterday. Klein, if you wouldn't mind sharing my window, please. I just want to walk through this a little bit. Here is Tyler Robinson's police caravan. Tyler Robinson getting a heavier police escort than most members of the administration. Here he is in this armored vehicle. You can see a massive police force and a massive police presence. What infuriated all of the internet yesterday was Tyler Robinson smirking and smiling during his first court appearance. You can see him here. The judge allowed him to wear just a suit and not to have to wear courthouse clothing. But you can see Tyler Robinson, a little, smirk on his face, thinking, hey, maybe I'll get away with it. No remorse with his public offenders. Why hasn't Tyler Robinson's parents said he's innocent? That don't make no sense. Why is that? Wouldn't any parent, if given the opportunity, say, hey, my kid's innocent? Wouldn't any parent do that? Isn't that the thing? Innocent until proven guilty? Here you go. This is the hideous beast and monster that killed Charlie. Dead eyes. Dead eyes. No one is beyond redemption. But you got to see it, man. You got to see it. How can you say he killed Charlie? Well, I don't know, man. Nobody else has presented any other evidence that he didn't. It's entirely demonstrable what they have. DNA on the gun, the bolt action, the bullet casings, the towel, video, photographic, forensic evidence. I mean, we have Jonathan Turley here talking, looking through the file. We trust Turley. He's really good and very, sober analysis for criminal cases. Here we go.
Well, this is a very deliberative judge, and I've been impressed with him overall. He's I think, handling the case well. It is not moving at a clip that one would hope for. It's definitely going a bit slower. But I think that reflects the fact that this judge wants to be very cautious. The fact is, this is a case with overwhelming evidence. I mean, the prosecutors could probably lose 90% of this evidence in a suppression hearing and still secure an easy conviction. He has a presumption of innocence, but the evidence here you can't ignore is just the strongest I've ever seen in a case. So the real concern for the court is not just he has to protect the rights of the defendant, which is the primary concern on these questions, but also he doesn't want to commit reversible error because that tends to victimize the family again because they have to go through this again. So he's being very, very cautious. He's moving a bit slower, but it's a deliberative pace.
Turley saying this is the strongest case I've ever seen. Obviously, as we covered yesterday, this is in the pre-trial stage. I don't like it. I don't make the rules. I'm not the prosecutor. I'm not in charge of the damn case. Neither is Candace. Neither is Erica. Neither is Turning Point. Neither is Tim Pool. Prosecutors are in charge of the damn case. The judge is overseeing it. And the judge, which, I mean, we looked into this and checked with experts, has issued a common practice in high-profile cases, which is to say that you're going to keep the evidence secret. You're going to not talk to the media. The teams are not going to talk to the press. You're not going to taint the jury pool. You're not going to create reversible error here. You're not going to make a circus out of my courthouse. We used yesterday as an example the O.J. Simpson case, where that sucker went on for years, also ripped the damn country apart, was also a pretty cut and dry, clear murder case. They had the guy's DNA all over the murder weapon, all over his house, the gloves, custom set of gloves that only fit him. So much circumstantial and then also genetic and then also hard evidence that was presented there against murderer O.J. Simpson, and they turned it into a circus as an op, and it worked. And one of obviously the first social justice watershed moments in American history that really showed you are living in a broken country. And I am enraged that this is like that I could see like the sort of the frictions starting to happen here where you can see the circus spinning out of control. Is that why Tyler Robinson is smiling and smirking? Why haven't his parents said he's innocent? Why is that? Cernovich is a really smart dude. High confidence, he says. Tyler Robinson has used a 30-06 to murder Charlie Kirk. He's the sole shooter and remains an open question regarding who, if anybody, had advanced knowledge of the deadliest terror attack in American soil. As we covered yesterday, there is a conspiracy here. The conspiracy is why were there so many tranny accounts that were posting about this before it happened? Have they been interviewed? Where the hell is Lance Twiggs? And please, for love of God, release as much evidence as you possibly can. Tyler Robinson. Like, we want to see it. We have covered that there was a troubling case where the local police department where he turned himself in didn't have footage of that and didn't have like that footage has either been deleted or been lost. Well, that's strange. What the hell is that? So you've got like you do have to ensure that everything is preserved and that everything is presented in a manner to the American public. And quite frankly, as Cernovich will go on to argue here, they should do selective leaks. They should do selective leaks. The FBI should do selective leaks to the media on this in order to firm up the case. It shouldn't just be a bunch of people whispering about how strong the case is. It should just honestly, there should be like a selective strategy here. There should be some very smart people should have a strategic capacity in order to like ensure that in the public arena, at the very least, the demonstrable evidence gets feted out. As we talked about yesterday, what the hell was going on with the drones? Why are we back at square one? This is exactly what happened with Trump getting shot in the head. There were no drones. There was no Overwatch. Tyler Robinson was able to get on the roof because America is an open, trusting society. We've showed you videos of how easy it is to hop on the roof here in Utah. Bullet pathways and ballistics were unpredictable on the target, 30-06. And the text messages Robinson sent to his trans lover are Reddit coded. Totally not surprising or off. This is how they talk to each other. It's the language of bad poetry. The SD cards were removed from the camera because media-savvy staffers who work with Charlie did not want other people to grab the footage. Charlie Kirk assassination is a state case. The prosecutors are notoriously anxious about evidence being released. They aren't going to try and release it in the court of podcasts or social media or social justice. There are court rules against this. Judges blow a gasket. I do think that it's a mistake for Cash and Dan to refrain from using strategic leaks to debunk nonsense around the case. They should have leaked the case file to some friendlies or the media. The case of this level will be tried on social media, like it or not. Of course, that's what's happening. I would manage the case much differently if I was put in charge of comms. But my read on the case, as well as my experience with various people involved, lead me to conclude that without a reasonable doubt, Tyler Robinson was the gunman. I consider it an open question on whether he acted alone. And this is exactly why we asked the question about the full conspiracy yesterday. I want to play you a clip that's going viral right now of Matt Walsh. I really respect Matt. And his commentary on Erica Kirk and just the basic human decency. Matt's one of those just like clairvoyant, extremely grounded thinkers in moments like this. And I like this take. Here we go.
She doesn't cry. They say, why isn't she crying? So it's this ridiculous lose-lose scenario that's been invented by people on both sides for this woman who did. What did she do wrong again? Like, what is her crime? Why is everyone attacking her? Why is it every day I go on Twitter and it's like someone, what is it? What did she do? What did she do to you people? Her husband died? Is that the sin that she committed? Losing her husband? Yeah, I'm so sick of it. I'm so tired of it. It's just disgusting. And if you're one of the people doing this, you should be ashamed of yourself if you're capable of it. And I can't stand these people that say, and I was talking about this today on X, and there are people responding and saying, yeah, well, yeah, but there's just something a little off. I don't know. There's something a little off with her. It feels a little off. It's a little off. I'm not sure. I'm not saying there's anything wrong. It's a little off. I don't know. Well, maybe what's off with her is that her husband was just murdered. Maybe her husband was just shot in the throat on TV in front of the entire world. Maybe that's a little. Maybe she's a little off because of that. You know, maybe her emotional responses all the time are not exactly what you would expect. Like maybe that's it. Here's another idea. If you think that, well, I don't know, there's something a little off, but you have no evidence that like she did anything wrong, and yet you just have these vague, whatever, feelings, vibes. Well, maybe rather than vaguely defaming a widow for reasons that you're not even clear about, admittedly, you even admit that like she might not be doing anything wrong at all. She might not be doing anything wrong at all, but I'll just kind of like wildly speculate that maybe there's something wrong with it. Maybe rather than doing that, maybe you should just shut the fuck up. Okay? How about that? Maybe just keep it to yourself. It's like basic rule of human decency that we all used to understand is when you've got someone who's grieving, like even rather than nitpicking, I wouldn't do it that way. That's not the facial expression I would have. Maybe you just shut the fuck up. And I try not to cuss like that, but I'm so sick of it. I'm so tired of it. And
don't ever forget what they stole from you. I love this video. And were you there? Maybe you were. Hundreds of thousands of people were. But this video times 10,000 Christians worshiping in unison. Can we hear it a little bit? Can you give me a little. Where did this go? Where did this go? Where's this exactly? Can we get back here, please? And not let the powers of darkness so easily storm the kingdom. That'd be awesome. That'd be real strength, ladies and gentlemen. We have a new year coming up. We have the chance to do it. We have the opportunity to restore the republic, to save this nation, to actually care about the future of this nation. I do care about the midterms. That went viral this week. Amazing how just saying that is revolutionary. But yes, we care about the future of our country. Traveling with us is a company that cares about the future of our country. Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is the cell phone company that has us in the pocket and has us as the backbone of our service to broadcast to you when we are on the road. Patriot Mobile is the only Christian conservative wireless provider. They do provide an incredible service to us through their mobile hotspots, their best-in-class premium network coverage on main carriers, and they also have unlimited data plans, international roaming, and more. Switching has never been easier. Do it today around the holidays, and I'll start the new year, ladies and gentlemen, with a new phone and a new network. PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Use promo code Benny for a free month of service. Call 972-PATRIOT or go to PatriotMobile.com/Benny. Breaking news out of the White House here as we change subject. I'm like, don't want to talk too much about this, and then we do 30 straight minutes on it, but whatever. Whatever. The White House is now officially stating and producing evidence that Ilhan Omar did, in fact, marry her brother. This is breaking news. Klein, we haven't done the breaking news stinger in a long time. Let's freaking do that. This is breaking news from the White House. Let's rock and roll. I don't know if I prefer that one or the other one, Klein, but either one. Yes, Ilhan Omar married her brother, says the official White House account. Tom Homan said the federal government is now investigating and she must be deported potentially for committing immigration fraud. The story provides beyond a reasonable doubt that Omar married her brother for fraudulent purposes. Let's go ahead and head on over to the Free Beacon. And then we have a member of Congress who serves with Ilhan Omar, who will, we're very excited to get him to sound off on this. Greg Stubbe joining the show in just a moment. Yes, Ilhan Omar married her brother. Let's work through this article. I am reading this along with you for the first time on the show. This is what the White House just posted, published on the Free Beacon from Scott W. Johnson. President Donald Trump is an occasional practitioner of unsparing forms of political logic, having taken an interest in the massive public programs fraud committed almost exclusively by Somali cast of perpetrators in Minnesota. He's followed up with an unfriendly comments about Minnesota's 5th District Representative Ilhan Omar. She comes in, does nothing but bitch, and she's always complaining, a president told the crowd in Pennsylvania on Tuesday. We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother. To get in, right? She married her brother. Can you imagine if Donald Trump married his sister? Omar is a Somali fraud. Exhibit A. Her district is the center of gravity for the massive Feeding Our Future fraud case that I wrote about in the Free Beacon. Despite what you may think, Omar has made a valuable contribution to our history. She goes down to show that there is such a thing as a new kind of political scandal. Mark Twain famously observed, it could possibly be shown that facts and figures that there is no distinctly Native American criminal class except Congress, yet he hasn't met Ilhan Omar. I'm talking about Omar's marriage to her brother, Ahmed Nur Said Elmi. Trump may have garbled the specifics, but he got the upshot of the story right. Omar's family brought Elmi over from London in 2009 to try and extract him from a gay lifestyle. That is the context in which the congresswoman tied the knot with him. Okay. He started writing about Omar for Powerline, the website, which I am the original contributor, in August 2016, when she defeated 22-term incumbent and feminist heroine Phyllis Khan for the Democrat Farmer Labor primary seat in Minnesota State Legislature. A reader had dedicated me to a post on the message board called Somali Spot, which has since been removed from the internet. It asserted that Omar had married her husband, Ahmed Hirsi, the father of her children, in 2002, but then she married her brother, Ahmed Nur said Elmi in 2009. Her campaign website advised Hersey and her husband made no mention of Elmi. Uh-oh. Here we go. So then they provide the receipts. I checked out the Somali Spot storyline in Minnesota official marriage system. Inputting Omar's name, I found that 2 marriages cited Somali Spot post checked out checked out as indicated. The site referenced Omar's 2002 marriage to her advertised husband, Ahmed Hersey, and her 2009 marriage to Ahmed Nur Said Elmi, identified in the Somali Spot post as Omar's brother. As it turned out, Omar and Hersey had applied for marriage licenses in 2002, but never followed through with the legal marriage. Okay, so this is her first husband. Citing the Somali Spot post and online marriage information, I contacted Omar's campaign and got a response of a criminal defense attorney. I had seen her in court representing one of the 6 Somali defendants who pleaded guilty in the 2016 ISIS terrorism case. The attorney's message was a classic non-response response, calling me a bigot and said I should direct further questions to her rather than the campaign. Then she ignored me. Here's how I wrote about this story. Initially, here we go. Omar's campaign flatly denied that Elmi is her brother. It would only said that she and Ahmed Hersey, who pictured in the campaign picture, the father of the 3 children, also together raising a family. The Star Tribune could not find records in Minnesota showing that the 2 ever married. Her campaign website reads Ilhan, her husband, and 3 children live in the West Bank neighborhood of District 60B. The most recent voter registration records show Omar and Hersey living in the same West Bank address. Like a lot of families, she and Hersey and her father and their 3 children have heads up, heads down, weathered some storms, but what matters is they came out together. The campaign would not make either Omar or Hersey available for comment, releasing a statement that Omar instead, a number of baseless, absurd rumors that bear repeating have been made recently about her personal life. They are categorically false. Okay. What I said in 2016 remains true today. In 2019, however, the State Campaign Finance Board releases an investigative file on Omar's 2016 campaign violation. She was full of interesting documents bearing the 2016 campaign controversy. Among them were Omar's tax returns filed jointly with Ahmed Hersey, whom she never legally married, while she was still legally married to the man that they say is her brother. Omar and Elmi's 2019 marriage license had been signed by a Christian pastor. It remains unmentionable detail in the sequence of events constructed by Omar, in which every twist and turn accounted for by her Islamic faith tradition. In 2019, I was told about the Campaign Finance Board documents. Monetary proceeded to write a 3,000-word, one-page story in the Star Tribune, revisiting the issue and the files where the marriage had happened. Their story proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Omar married her brother for fraudulent purposes. They begged Omar for an interview and access to her family to discuss the issue. She repaid them with the same kind of treatment that I'd received. Left-wing reporters for a left-wing newspaper begged Omar for a response. They got the same one that I got, that they were bigots. It lays out in meticulous detail what several Somali sources relayed to both him and me, as well as social media posts, that Elmi is Omar's brother. They've used, obviously, multiple different sourcing, including the family, including DNA evidence, that she committed immigration fraud. Okay, let's conclude here, and then we'll talk to Congressman Stubbe. Omar entered the United States in 1995 as a fraudulent member of the Omar family, which was granted asylum in the United States and settled in Arlington, Virginia, along with her sister Sarah and her father Nur Said. The rest of Omar's genetic family, the Elmi family, sister, and Muhammad and Ahmed, were all granted asylum in the United Kingdom. Social media posts throughout the years show Omar and her siblings, both in the United States and the United Kingdom, referring to each other and their father as such. This is not difficult to track. It continues on, ladies and gentlemen. I encourage you to read the entire thing. This seems extremely well sourced. The White House is now sharing it. And so what is the TLDR? That Ilhan Omar married her freaking brother. that she committed immigration fraud. In doing so, she stayed married to her husband at the time. She continued, by the way, to have another kid with her husband while being married to her brother. This was, of course, the way to fast track him getting into the country from England to save him from a gay lifestyle or whatever. Okay, just straight up immigration fraud. So this is patently verifiable, right? There are individuals who've done DNA tests here and found this to be true. And these are grounds, obviously, for revocation of naturalization, I would assume. At the very least, stiff criminal penalties. Let's welcome on a member of Congress who serves with Ilhan Omar, not in the same party, but obviously somebody who has to share the halls of Congress with her every single day, the great congressman from Florida, Greg Steube. Congressman, this is a bombshell. White House.
Yeah.
I'm not like I guess the basics of the story. This report goes well into detail. But the basics of the story, provided with documentation here, now posted by the White House, seems certainly worthy of a full-scale investigation. Do you hope that happens?
Yeah, I hope that happens. And the great thing about immigration fraud is if this is all true, which it clearly is, I mean, this has been something that's been rumored for years, and we finally have an administration that's investigating immigration fraud. And how poetic will it be if Ilhan Omar actually defrauded the United States in her way to become a citizen? And as serving as a member of Congress, the great part of this from the administration standpoint is if she committed immigration fraud, they can deport her. So yes, there are criminal penalties for defrauding the United States and participating in immigration fraud. But the great part of that is if she committed fraud to get into the country, then she's not legally able to be in the country, and the United States of America can quickly deport her back to Somalia. And then obviously that seat will be vacant. But that's the great part about this is the administration, once they have found that she did in fact commit immigration fraud, they can arrest her and have her deported because she is not legally in the country.
What would that look like? Would it effectively look like a DNA test? I guess you'd have to have something, they have plenty of corroborating evidence that comes through the marriage document and marriage certificate. Yeah. And then also Somali community members saying this is obviously the same family.
I mean, I don't even think you if you have the marriage licenses and you can prove that that's her brother, I don't even think you need DNA tests. If the paper, you have to file a marriage license. Obviously, they can track down who this person is and who she is and how they came into the country. I think it would actually be pretty easy to prove that they committed fraud to get into the country, and then therefore she is not legally here in our country, and therefore she can be deported immediately. And I would imagine Homan, because he has stated that they're going to investigate this, I would imagine this is the top of his pile of immigration fraud cases.
So this seems shocking to an American because incest is wrong, and this is something that clearly has very bad genetic and societal results. You can check royal family lineages in Europe to see that, but obviously it's like just totally immoral. Gross. You don't do that unless you're Somali, because we checked and the coefficient for inbreeding in Somalia is somewhere near 60% for some tribes. It is a practice that binds tribes together. First and second cousin marriages happen all the time, including, but not limited to, also child brides, Congressman, genital mutilation, an entire economy based on piracy and theft and fraud. It really begs the question, like, why are we bringing any Somalis over here at all? And you shouldn't be shocked by Ilhan Omar marrying a brother because it is common practice in Somalia.
Well, if you look at all these investigations that this administration is uncovering in Minnesota as it relates to that country's fraud of all of these individuals coming into the country, defrauding the United States, and then defrauding different programs to get government money that Tim Walz has obviously allowed to happen in his state for years, you see a huge depravity of legal laws in that area. And I'm just glad that we have an administration that's willing to take it on. I'm glad that we have Homan there that's willing to investigate these things. I would imagine if someone as high profile as a member of Congress has committed immigration fraud by marrying a sibling, or even while she was technically married to some other guy, but she didn't file legal paperwork for that, but then she married her brother so that he could get in, so she could get into the country. Obviously, she's probably not the only one in Minnesota in that area that's been doing that, because they have seemed to figure out the laws as it relates to getting people in here illegally.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem extremely curious that she's the one who wrote the Meals Act. That was the act that was used in order to defraud the taxpayers of nearly $1 billion through a lot of restaurants in her district that she has direct either connections to through her campaign. She's worked at them or used them for campaign events. She knows the people who run them. That seems extremely, extremely dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, this is somebody who's paid her husband millions, her current husband, not that husband, and not her brother, but her current husband, millions of dollars in her campaign account. I filed a bill years ago. I think it was my first session here in Congress that would prohibit a member of Congress from paying their spouse out of their campaign account a consultant fee. So if you look at her net wealth, it's gone up dramatically because she's been paying her husband, her current husband, millions of dollars out of her campaign account to be her campaign consultant, which is 100% legal and ethical in our current frame of law, which I think is unethical and it should be illegal. And I filed bills for years to try to prohibit the practice. But I mean, she is using the United States government to every bit of her ability to defraud America of both government subsidies and defraud to get into the country illegally. And I hope that they investigate it. And the great thing, like I said, about immigration fraud is once they find that she committed immigration fraud, she can immediately be deported.
Will this be one of those failed censures or one of those failed resolutions in Congress where, you can attack an ICE agent and nothing will happen? You don't get censured. You can listen to Jeffrey Epstein during committee hearings and nothing will happen. Will Republicans in Congress take some action here?
We don't need to, because Trump can deport her. I mean, if what is being alleged is true, she created an immigration fraud and he can have her deported out of the country. She won't be a member of Congress anymore because she won't be a citizen of our country anymore. And watch the left's head explode if that happens. I mean, it's just going to be nonstop all day long. We're all racist. We're all bigots. All of the things that obviously they use to try to attack us when we're actually following the law and kicking people out of our country who have illegally defrauded the United States.
Yeah, I mean, you are on the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. This is a very important committee, and this is obviously a committee that a lot of people want to be on because you're able to see and assess the threats to America. You served in the military, and so this is something that's near and dear to you, to protection of the homeland. The Somali fraud allegedly funded Muslim terrorism, the same kind of Muslim terrorism that we're seeing on the streets of Washington, D.C., and the killing of our National Guardsmen. What needs to be done here with the Afghan refugees that were brought in here wholesale by Joe Biden? What needs to be done with the Somali fraudsters who are funding al-Shabaab with our tax dollars?
Well, we know that those Afghan refugees were not vetted. They should be fully vetted by this current administration, and I'm sure they're working on doing that. They have so many things that they're working on that they need more ICE agents and they need more Border Patrol agents to go through all of the litany of the open border policies of Joe Biden over the last 4 years and the 12 million illegals that are in our country. Yesterday in the testimony, there's still 100 something or several hundred known terrorists that the Biden administration let into our country that they're trying to search and get out. But that is one piece. And then the fraud should also be investigated from the DOJ. That's criminal penalties. That's stealing taxpayer dollars when you don't have a right to be able to get those. And I believe not only the people that defrauded the United States out of those taxpayer dollars on those government programs should be held criminally liable. I think the leaders of that state, like Waltz, who knew or should have known that this was going on, should be held accountable as well.
Okay, so how does that work? So yeah, Tim Waltz, like, would this be a DOJ thing?
Well, it would be like a conspiracy case. It would be like you aided and abetted criminal behavior. I mean, there's all sorts of different statutes you could probably tie in. If he knew or should have known that fraudulent activity was going on in his state, or even took steps to allow it to occur, that's aiding and abetting criminal behavior. That's obstruction. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things, statutes that they could lop in for that.
Okay. You are on the Intel, again, the Permanent Select Committee on Intel. We've been covering the pipe bomber story on this program. We're happy that they finally gave us something on that. It does seem however, Barry Loudermilk was on the program yesterday, that they had the guy in 2021. It's pretty obvious. They had the cell phone.
Yep.
They told, I think, your committee in the documents that they had the phone, the pings, the number. Now we know they had license plate and that they had all of these receipts. We can also look through the degraded footage. It seems as though somebody was internally trying to prevent the identification of the pipe bomber in what I personally believe, Congressman, is clearly some type of larger scale op. I just don't buy that there was this lone spectrumy autist that not non-political and just decided to go plant a bunch of bombs. And at the very least, that's just my instinct. At the very least, we know that the FBI clearly lied about this and clearly was trying to withhold. What's going to happen on the Intel Committee? FBI is an intel agency. What's going to happen on the committee for this? We can get some hearings, or what do you want to find out further about January?
Yeah, I mean, Barry, who you had on your show, is his committee's leading this. In his committee, they're doing an investigation on it. But I think you're right. I think there's an aspect of this that is FBI, that the Intelligence Committee has oversight authority over. We should certainly bring those people in. I mean, this just is another great example of the deep state hard at work. There is no information that Bongino or Cash used that they didn't already have, that the agency didn't already have. So the FBI had this information all the way back from 2021, did absolutely nothing about it. It only took a few task force members to be able to piece together the information that the FBI already had to find this guy. So clearly shows that they had no intention to go after this guy, and we're hoping that this would just go away. And thankfully, we have new leadership at the FBI that thinks it's important to bring these things to light. And I hope that if Bongino and Cash find that there were individuals that in the FBI that specifically either withheld this evidence or specifically didn't investigate things that they should have investigated because of the political fallout that would have occurred, then those people should be fired at the very least and held criminally liable if there's a criminal statute that they violated. It's going to take time to get all these deep state actors out of our FBI and DOJ and out of the intelligence apparatus. But I think we have good leaders in place that are doing that.
Yeah. Okay. So what leading into the midterms do Republicans need to do to keep the House? It's obviously something that we actually do care about because we care about the future of the country. We hear that there is quite a contingent of people who are either neocons or hate Donald Trump that are trying in their own small or big way to sabotage the midterms and potentially get Trump impeached and to kneecap JD. Can you sort of like lay out the landscape, Congressman?
Well, for me, as a member of Congress, and I'm not in a big, I'm in a R+10, so it's not like a huge conservative district. But I act and vote conservatively, and the conservative voters will come out and vote for me. I don't understand this push to run to the center. There's all these reports that the speaker's talking to the moderates in our party about bringing an ACA subsidy bill to the floor. Why would we do that? All you're doing is pissing off the base and not doing the things that you said you were going to do. And in my political experience, and I've been in the state house, the state senate, and in Congress, and had a lot of primaries and a lot of general races, if you run to the center, the people who elected you, conservative Republicans who wanted you to go up there and be conservative, are not going to come and vote for you. They'll just stay home, and then you're going to have the results that we're not going to want to have. And we just did a post about it yesterday. If we lose the House, they've already tried to impeach Trump. They've already tried to impeach Hegseth. There was a motion filed on that a couple days ago. They've already tried to impeach RFK. I mean, all this would happen every single day. That would be what the House would turn into for those last 2 years of Trump's presidency. We would get absolutely nothing done. So in my opinion, the House should govern conservatively. The conservatives and Republicans voted us up here. We have the House, the Senate, and the White House, and we're failing to act like conservatives. And by doing that, you isolate the base. The base gets pissed off and is like, what's the difference of having you guys up there than the Democrats in control and people don't show up in the midterms? So hopefully things like Thune does away with the filibuster, do the things that the president wants to do, pass all these great bills. We can't do that with a 60-vote threshold and going to Chuck Schumer in the Senate. And we should be governing conservatively in the House and not passing bills with 115 Democrats.
Yeah, like I don't get that. Like, why not? Okay, sure, maybe it won't pass the Senate, but why not like make a statement to the base? Why not push the Overton window to the right? It doesn't make any sense. Why not force
doesn't
the
make
Democrats
any sense to me?
Force it, just like what you're saying about like with Ilhan Omar and marrying her brother. Like, why not force them to defend it? Defend the indefensible. Defend the lady that married her brother. Like force them to do it.
Yeah, as soon as the ethics committee report comes out on Sheila McCormick, or however you say her last name, who took $5 million, has been indicted on 15 counts for stealing $5 million in FEMA funds. I filed a motion to have her expelled from the House. It takes 2/3. And so we'll see all these Democrats, once the basis of all this evidence comes out from the ethics report, which I expect in the beginning of the year, and I call a vote on that, that's going to put Democrats in a very tough position when all of these Democrats and some of my Republican colleagues kicked out Santos for much less, and this woman defrauded FEMA $5 million. Well, let's see where the rest of these Democrats are on things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Why not force those votes and then make them take the vote? Doesn't make any sense to me. Do you think that Republicans can turn it around? Obviously, it's just the way it goes in the midterms. Things don't look great. We've had a lot of people on the show this week, pollsters, banging the drums, being like, if you want to turn it around, this is the way to do it. But is it too little too late?
I don't think so. We have a year. All of the great things that was in the one big beautiful bill will start coming into fruition early next year. All these tax cuts that we passed, the no tax on tips, the $2,000, the $6,000 tax credit for people on Social Security. That's real money that's going to be going into people's pockets. They're going to be seeing that in March and April. It'll be a huge boost to the economy, and people will be seeing the great things that Republicans did this past year. But in my opinion, if we don't govern conservatively, why are the base going to come and show up for us and vote for us in the midterm elections? Trump's not going to be on the ticket, so we're going to have to work harder to get Republicans out to vote. And the way to do that is to get them excited about the things that we're doing. We should be codifying all of Trump's executive orders. We should be doing all of the things that we said we were going to do. We should be cutting spending, not putting more money on the debt. All of these things that Republicans wanted us to do, and you can't do it with a 60-vote threshold in the Senate when we pass good conservative pieces of legislation in the House and it goes in the Senate and dies. Just like my banning men and women's sports passed the House by a party line vote, goes to the Senate, and it dies because they have a filibuster, and you got to get Chuck Schumer to agree to that, and he's never going to agree to that. So those things have to happen, and if they don't happen and we lose the House, it'll be impeachment, impeachment, impeachment for 2 years. All of President Trump's policies that we should be making permanent won't go anywhere.
Yeah, you should prove to the American people what will happen if we actually keep the House and if we actually have a Republican majority working with President Trump, because I don't think that message has been sent at all. That is what we get from our audience, that message just hasn't been sent, how valuable the House is to be working with the president. I mean, we've just seen a lot of kind of like what's going on in the podcast world right now, like a lot of drama, a lot of grandstanding, a lot of people,
not a lot of action.
Themselves. Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, we hope for it. We'll pray for that. We'll pray for a Christmas miracle. Congressman, thank you so much for being on the program.
Yeah, good to see you, brother.
Obviously, Christmas miracle might be a Ilhan Omar deportation.
Well, that would be a great step in the right direction.
Congressman Greg Steube has 121,000 subscribers here on X. You should be one of them. Fight with the people who are fighting for us. Merry Christmas, Congressman.
Merry Christmas. Good to see you.
It has been a wild show. I just kind of wanted to chat on this program. This is like what we always do when we are traveling. I am very sad because a big shout out to the Heritage Foundation. Thank you very much for hosting us in your beautiful studios. Heritage have been hosting us regularly when we're in DC. We do very much like working with this organization. They're very kind to us when we're here. Here is the Heritage branded coffee cup. And they have great coffee. It's not Blackout coffee. I got to tell you, Blackout coffee is what I drink when we're home. Sometimes we're able to travel with Blackout coffee. If I know there's a coffee maker, we don't have one this time. Ladies and gentlemen, when we went to the RNC and the DNC convention last year, we had our Blackout coffee packed in our suitcases. And that's what powered us through those exhausting events as we plow through the end of the year here. Blackout coffee, probably a pot a day for me, is what pulses through our veins. It's premium small batch roasted coffee made right here in America with American values. Hard work. It's coffee that tastes like real coffee. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's coffee that you can drink straight out the pot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I drink every single day unless I'm on the road here. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Stop settling and start drinking real coffee made by real Americans. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. We have a Black Lives Matter story to get to as the lead of the show. And we got to do that, obviously. We've been ranting a little bit and also had some breaking news. Ilhan Omar marrying her brother, confirmed by the White House and reporting. Here we go. Top of the show. Oklahoma City BLM leader charged with wire fraud, money laundering, alleged $3.5 million embezzlement scheme. Hopefully this is something that's going to balloon into a much larger investigation into BLM, the $100 million that they stole. The executive director of BLM has been charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and federal prosecutors. She diverted more than $3 million, returned bail checks into her personal bank account over a 5-year period. Tashella Sherry Dickerson of Oklahoma City is accused of routing money. Indeed, the group's bail fund and social justice programs into her own accounts. Isn't that great? Bail fund and social justice. Here's $3 million for myself. The indictment says Dickerson used the money for her personal benefit, including a travel to Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, tens of thousands of dollars in retail shopping, $50,000 in food deliveries, a vehicle, 6 real estate properties, vehicles. All these BLM fraudsters are doing the exact same thing. The Somali fraudsters did the exact same thing. Fannie Willis did the exact same thing. Fannie Willis was doing these kind of, like, drinking Grey Goose, going on vacation, embezzling the money that she was getting in order to prosecute Trump. Man, according to the DOJ press release covering the indictment, BLM raised more than $5.6 million this chapter, beginning in 2020, including major grants, of course, from the Massachusetts Bail Fund and the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Isn't that great? Course, the Minnesota Freedom Fund, the one that Kamala Harris was fundraising for. Got it? See how this works? Those organizations routed most of the money through the Alliance for Global Justice, which served as BLM's fiscal sponsor. It required that all funds be used for tax-exempt purposes. Also prohibited real estate purchases without approval and required full accounting of expenditures at the request. Prosecutors say Dickerson instead deposited at least $3.5 million in returned bail checks into her personal accounts rather than the BLM accounts, and used interstate wires to submit 2 annual reports that did not disclose her personal use of the funds. This is great. Oh, man. You know, it kind of makes you wonder, like, the entire thing, this was obviously, the BLM organization was a fraud organization. Here she is with Ilhan Omar, of course, because perfect. How much of this stuff is centrally planned? This is exactly what they did. The BLM's Global Foundation, a separate national organization, came under scrutiny. And New York Magazine reported that it purchased a $6 million home in California using donor funds. They also purchased homes in Montreal, Atlanta, throughout America. When contacted about the charges, BLM Foundation spokesperson says it practices a model of decentralized leadership. Okay, but they're all doing the exact same fraud, so I don't buy it. It's like federal grand jury returned a 25-count indictment, 25-count, charging Dickerson with 20 counts of wire fraud, 5 counts of money laundering. She faces 20 years in federal prison for each wire fraud. So she faces 300 years in federal prison, potential fines of $250,000. Oh, boy. Okay. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. New fraud breakdown for BLM.
Lives Matter in trouble again. The leader of the Oklahoma City chapter is accused of using millions of donations as her personal ATM, and now she faces 25 federal counts. That's very serious. David Spunt, live from Washington with more. Hi, David.
Hi, Dana. Her name is Tashella Sherry Amore Dickerson. According to federal prosecutors, she's 52 years old. She ran Black Lives Matter, the Oklahoma City branch, and is charged with wire fraud and money laundering. Authorities say she began her tenure leading the organization in OKC back in 2016, giving her access to PayPal, Cash App, bank accounts of the Black Lives Matter chapter. They say that she put at least $3.5 million, $3.15 million, I stand corrected, in return bail checks supposed to be used to post bail for people into her personal accounts, rather into the chapter accounts. These are some of the allegations where authorities say she was involved traveling to Jamaica, tens of thousands retail shopping, $50,000 in food in deliveries, personal vehicle registered in her name, 6 properties in Oklahoma City in her name, or a business that she controlled. Authorities say some of this all took place around the time of the death of George Floyd, which prompted, in some cases, violent protests across the country in 2020. Now, the BLM national office telling Fox News she is part of a separate local organization. Writing to us, the Black Lives Matter movement practices a model of decentralized leadership. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation operates independently from local chapters, and the local chapters operate independently of the foundation, end quote. Now, we reported, Dana, at the end of October that the Justice Department is probing Black Lives Matter overall, looking at whether senior leaders in the organization may have potentially defrauded donors during those 2020 protests. If convicted, Ms. Dickerson could face 20 years behind bars and a fine of up to $250,000 for each count of wire fraud, and there are 20 wire fraud counts out of those 25 counts total. Dana.
Woof. So that's hundreds of years in prison. Good. I mean, this really is time to start setting examples for people. Like, have you had enough? We've all had enough, right? Like, everyone, the fatigue is officially, totally, and completely underwater. We live in a complete state of fatigue. That's why we started at the top of the show, talking about the redemption and the cleansing, the crystallization, and the beauty of the memorial moment with Charlie, because it seemed to be a clarifying moment that we needed as a country. Like, kind of wake up from this fever dream, snap out of it. You know, if BLM wanted to actually save Black lives, they'd end abortion. That's what they'd do. You know, something like 60 million Black babies have been aborted. Hey, Alex, check me on that number. Like, there's your genocide right there. Genocide in Palestine. There's your genocide. There's your genocide. Abortion's a genocide. It's a total evil. This Christmas season, we should be working to try and ensure that babies in America are born and not killed. The year's 2025, the year of our Lord. I can't believe that we're even saying that. But as you watch the wholesale population collapse in the West, no, this is in part because of abortion, great wars, birth control pill. These are the functions that lead to people not having any children at all. Preborn is doing their best, ladies and gentlemen, to try and counteract that poisonous child sacrifice culture. This Christmas, as we celebrate life, you have an opportunity to share the same gift with a mother and her baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy, unsure of what to do, searching for hope. Preborn Ministry comes in. Meet a young woman who was unmarried, and she found out about her pregnancy. And when the angel Gabriel announced that she would conceive by the Holy Spirit, this is Luke chapter 1, verse 26. It was a shocking revelation. Joseph even considered ending the engagement, but the angel appeared to him. This is a divine appointment and the fulfillment of a prophecy, salvation for all. Preborn serves as the face of the life movement. When a mother is facing this decision, she sees her baby's ultrasound provided for free by Preborn. In that moment, she has the opportunity to say yes, and Preborn's mission is to help her find the courage and support to do so. This Christmas, just $28, you can help save a life. Thanks to a special matching grant through the end of the year, your gift is doubled. To donate, dial pound 250 and say the word baby. That's pound 250. Go to preborn.com/Benny. That's preborn.com/Benny and say the word baby if you dial pound 250 to help support life this Christmas season. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got weak Republicans who in Indiana rejected the map that President Trump had proposed and the House had passed by an overwhelming majority. And even though there is a supermajority in the Indiana Senate, they decided to crash down on it. Now, I was thinking about this, like, why the hell is this happening? You know, all these people are in Trump plus 20 districts, plus Trump plus 50 districts. There's a supermajority in the Senate. I think it's something like 50 to 30 Republican Democrats. So this map should have passed and should have passed easily. And then I thought about Mike Pence, and he's from Indiana, and he's got a little mafia there. And this is most likely a Mike Pence way, a neocon way to F over Donald Trump and to ensure that Donald Trump gets impeached again. And this is I think that math works out. Indiana received a stunning threat from conservative think tank before rejecting Trump-based redistricting map on Thursday that would have left Democrats with 0 congressional seats in the state. The state voted down the legislation by a count of 31-19. 10 Republicans joined the Democrat delegation, 10, which would have netted the Republicans 2 more seats in the House. The Heritage Foundation warned Indiana prior to the vote that all federal funding will be stripped from the state if they refused to pass the bill. President Trump seemed perplexed by the Indiana GOP's refusal to go along with his plan. As promised, retribution. Rod Bray, he's the guy who's in charge of the Senate, key Republican vote against the bill. It's funny because I won in Indiana 3 times by a landslide. I wasn't working on this very hard. It would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we had done that, he said in the Oval Office. And you had one gentleman, the head of the Senate, I guess, Bray, whatever his name is, heard that he was against it, probably lose his next primary, whatever that is. I hope that he does. He's done a tremendous disservice. The president noticed that Democrats have gone tit for tat in redistricting battles in a reference to Gavin Newsom's successful Proposition 50 campaign. Ultimately, Trump said he will support whoever challenges Bray next election cycle. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Trump on Indiana.
Thank you, Peter.
Mr. President, in Indiana, just a few moments ago, the Senate there rejected the congressional maps to redistrict in that state. A number of Republicans voted against that redistricting effort. You have spent a lot of time talking about this. The Vice President traveled to Indiana. What's your reaction?
Well, we won every other state. That's the only state. It's funny because I won Indiana all 3 times by a landslide. And I wasn't working on it very hard. Would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we did that. You had one gentleman, the head of the Senate, I guess, Bray, whatever his name is. I heard he was against it. He'll probably lose his next primary, whenever that is. I hope he does, but because he's done a tremendous disservice. I mean, think of it. It's a great place. I love the people there. They love me. You know, we won in a landslide all 3 times. Got tremendous votes. I got record votes. And then there's no reason for doing that. And the Democrats do it to us, so I can't imagine that they do it. But I wasn't very much involved. But there's a man named Bray, as I guess, head of the Senate. Was that Bray? Is that the name, Bray? I mean, I'm sure that whenever his primary is, it's, I think, in 2 years. But I'm sure he'll go down. He'll go down. I'll certainly support anybody that wants to go against him.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining the show right now is somebody who understands all of these issues from the street level. You know, we are a massive fan of Man on the Street interviews, but nobody does it better than the great Shaney Rich. He's the founder of Street Polar Media, the world's largest street interviewing company. And I'm interested in what he has to say about Indiana here. It sounds like Indiana was totally out of step with what the people want from a street level. Shaney Rich joining the show live now. Shaney, what's up, man? How you doing? Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you. I'm good. I appreciate it.
I see your videos everywhere, bro. And I'm like, how the hell is the Republican Party so out of step? We had a congressman on earlier. I'm like, you know, what are you guys doing exactly? Like, you know, people really love Trump on the street level. People in these districts, they love Trump. Doesn't matter even if you're in like dark blue cities like Miami, you love Trump. And all of these populations are going to want Trump's policies enacted, but Republicans can't get that through their thick skulls. Why is that, Shaney?
Well, I think that there's a systemic issue in Washington where they just don't listen to the people. And, you know, you're seeing this in almost every congressman, anyone in the House, in the Senate, you know, even some people in other bureaucratic positions that have just been in power for decades, and they just aren't listening to the American people. And so, you know, the same way that the media doesn't listen to the people, the polls have been wrong time after time again. The best way to get the truth from the people is directly on the street level. And that's exactly what we're doing.
Yes. Okay. So what are you finding right now in this interesting political environment?
Well, it's a very interesting political environment currently. I don't think that there's been a time like this in American history, and we're seeing a lot of support for America First and America First policies. There's actually an overwhelming amount of support, even though for Trump, even though the media wants to say that there isn't. And this is coming from minorities, it's coming from younger Americans, men and women, and it's coming from all 50 states.
So what has been some of the, we used your content virtually every single show leading up to the 2024 election to say that people are just lying because the streets do love Trump. Have you found a little bit of that waning? Have you found any surprising results on various issues? I know you ask about a lot of hot button issues.
Yeah, I think the biggest revelation recently has been one question we've been asking, which is 500K or dinner with Jesus. And almost everyone says dinner with Jesus. And even if they're not Christian, they're saying dinner with Jesus. So we were interviewing the other day with a Muslim and they said dinner with Jesus. We've been interviewing with Jews and they say dinner with Jesus. We've been interviewing with almost everyone and they're saying dinner with Jesus over 500K. So I've been noticing that there is a return back to God at a level which I don't think this country has ever seen before. And it makes total sense too.
Yeah, you're Gen Z or Gen Alpha. I don't actually know how old you're. You're 20? Are you 21?
I turned 21. Yeah, I think the first time we spoke, when you actually gave me the name Street Polar, that was from you. You're the one that gave me that name. I was 17. That was, like 3 years ago.
Okay. Guilty as charged. I'll take it, man. This is great. We are proud to help build the movement, right? And young talent, you need that. And you also got to make sure that you're supporting young people and what they want. So what is it exactly that young people are going to need out of a Trump administration in order to keep what we've seen with Charlie, which is, with Charlie Kirk, we saw for the first time ever, young men in particular, but young people in general, start to move right, shift right in the country. And that gave people so much hope. And there's been a lot of polling out saying that is now being eroded. So what needs to happen next, Shani?
Well, I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a reform at the education level. I know that they've been floating abolishing the Department of Education or reforming that. But I think that what needs to happen is these kids in school, really any grade school, any college, any level, they need to be taught to think bigger, right? And to not feel like they're held back or a victim. I mean, in America, it's the land of the free and the home of the brave. You can do whatever you want to do. And I feel like there is still this idea that people are victims, whether they're, Black, brown, Jew, Muslim, a minority, even white people, Christians, no matter what, like in America, we all have the same opportunity. And so I think that there needs to be, people need to feel empowered and they need to feel able to do what they actually want to do with their life. And I think that right now there's a lot of gloom, and the gloom isn't coming from the Trump administration, but I think the gloom comes from the education system, AI. People feel like they don't have value, that they're going to be replaced by a machine or by a robot. And in reality, that's just not the case. Industries change over time. I mean, when there was the industrial boom back in the day and the railroads and the oil boom, people were out of jobs until someone needed factories and someone needed to build the railroads and someone needed to drive the trains. So there's always going to be jobs available. There's always going to be business opportunities to create. And I think that, people need to feel empowered to actually do something positive with their life.
I wanted to ask you, because it is a bit of a theme of the show, and I'm trying to do Christmas message. It's tough. It's tough in the podcast wars of 2025, and I'm sure we'll go on into 2026. Who knows? Trying to do Christmas messages for the shows. We're trying to be uplifting a little bit in this time of year, and it's normally a time of year that people have hope and want to see something positive and want to see some change. And so what we have been tracking is that young people are converting to Christianity, are finding God in higher numbers than their parents even, and that this is a phenomenon that I don't think we've ever witnessed before. Can you speak to that? Do you see that in your company? Are you finding that people are especially young people, are very interested in God and religion?
100%. Yeah, and it makes sense too, because you have pride flags in the third grade classroom. I mean, who wouldn't be interested in God when you're told that God is bad and you get persecuted for being God? And if you're transgender, you get put on a pedestal. It's crazy to me that, in schools, you can't even have a Bible study group. I mean, just 2 years ago, parents were getting thrown out of school board meetings because they were upset at the books that were being, read to their children in drag time story hour. Thankfully, Trump has gotten rid of a lot of that, but I still think that culture exists in a lot of blue states. I mean, even in Miami, we just had a mayor elected who was a Democrat, which is crazy because in the last election, Trump won Miami-Dade County in a landslide. But before Trump, Democrats owned Miami-Dade County. So I think that what Republicans need to do is they need to understand that the reason that Trump won in 2024 and the reason that he's had success as a politician is because Trump can go to Chick-fil-A in Atlanta, Georgia, and he can talk to people and make them feel like he's known them their whole life. And at the same time, Trump can go have a meeting with Elon Musk and Jensen from NVIDIA, and he can talk at an extremely high level. Trump is very good at adapting to a situation where a lot of these other politicians, you could just see right through them. And you can understand that their handlers or whoever's running the PR for them is giving them some talking points and they can't go off script. And now you're seeing even Democrats. Zoran won because he's Trump of the left. Zoran won because he reached out to the forgotten group, right? Even though what he says is total bullshit and it makes no sense and it can't happen, he makes people feel good. And so that's why he's winning. And so I think that Republicans, and J.D. Vance does a very good job at this, and a couple others too, like Vivek Ramaswamy does a very good job. Representative Brandon Gill does a very good job. And there's some others as well. And I think that more Republicans need to adapt the Trump mindset in the sense that just talk to people, be honest, say what's on your mind. Don't be afraid to say something that's a little controversial or a little wrong.
I thank you for bringing that up. That's exactly what I was looking for, Shani. Thank you. That's exactly right. This Trump Chick-fil-A, he did this right after I think it was right after being arraigned, right after his mugshot. President Trump goes to Chick-fil-A or in obviously one of the proceedings. And you can see right here, how what a classic move this was. What an incredible move. Everybody laughing, grinning, smiling, wanting to take photos with him. Totally and completely beloved President Trump, completely unbothered, just having the time of his life, cutting it up, facing 400 years in prison and just having a ball and flipping the narrative entirely on living his best life. And I think that that's what inspires a lot of inspired young people in historic numbers, this energy. In closing, Shani, how does the GOP recapture this energy? What would be your advice to keep young people in the block, so to speak?
Well, I think that the way that they need to do that is by, look, we know that politicians and the swamp, as you call it in DC, they already know that they can go on Fox News or CNN or any mainstream media outlet or MSNBC and they can go get a news hit, right? They know that they can call their buddy at, Forbes or Washington Post or New York Post or Wall Street Journal and get an article written. They know that. But what they don't do is they don't take advantage of the digital economy. They don't take advantage as much as they should of social media influencers, social media creators, podcasters, right? Anybody that has a presence online. I mean, every day, half of the world, over 3 billion people, turn on the internet and scroll through a social media platform. And these politicians are not leveraging that enough. And that's why they're losing. Again, the perfect case study is Zoran. He literally was nobody. And now he's the mayor of New York City. And I credit about 80 to 90% of that due to his social media strategy. Granted, it's a pretty easy race. I mean, you're going against Cuomo and Eric Adams, but he leveraged social media. Trump leveraged social media. You see JD Vance on Twitter getting bangers, going viral. People are already saying JD 2028 simply because they like the things he's tweeting. So it's not rocket science. I mean, Tucker Carlson is bigger than he ever was, and he has his own network that's only on social media and then behind a paywall. He doesn't even distribute on Fox News anymore. Look at you. You've built an absolute empire, and you don't work with any legacy media outlets. This is the Benny media. It's the Benny show. I mean, I remember when you were on Newsmax. Now look at you. It's 10x, right? And so that's what these politicians and these people in DC, they need to find someone to work for their campaign that's in their 20s. It shouldn't be a 60, 70-year-old who's been working for, in Ronald Reagan era. Get with the program. The world has changed. And that's what they don't understand.
If you want to watch the world change, you go on over and follow the Street Pollster. This is, I didn't know that I gave you that name, Shani. That's awesome. So Street Poll right here, 21,000 followers. They deliver absolute bangers. The interviews are some of the best in the world. And I think that they were in part of the reason that President Trump won in 2024, because they exposed, they destroyed media narratives about Hispanic Americans, Black Americans, young Americans, and how much they loved the president. So this is the power, obviously, of media. Shaney gets it. And follow this young man. There you go. 240,000 subscribers here for Shaney Rich.
And I just want to add one thing, Benny. We started the Street Polar brand with these organic channels. So that Twitter was started in May of this year. So, you know, a year ago, it was only me doing the interviews. Now we have over 15 different interviewers across the country. We're rapidly expanding. But that Twitter was just started less than 7 months ago. Same with our Instagram, that's now at 300,000 followers, Facebook at 500,000. And we just finally got unbanned on YouTube as well. So we're starting that back up, and we're already at about 1,500. So if you give us about a year, next time we sync back up, we'll probably have 1 or 2 million followers, and we'll continue growing.
I'm proud of you, bro. Merry Christmas, Shaney.
Thank you, Benny. You as well. I'll see you at Turning Point.
See you, bro. Well, let's check the polls with our Poly Market polls. There's a street pollster, and then there's the Poly Market probability polls of President Trump releasing the Epstein files. Please don't ruin my Christmas. Please don't ruin my Christmas. Let's go. Check the polls. All right. Will President Trump release the Epstein files by December 19th or December 31st? Obviously, he has 30 days of September in order to do this. You know, it's interesting. I was speaking with a member of the administration last night that told me, like, I don't know, why don't we just release them? This is someone else's problem, right? We don't got any problems with these. This is someone else's problem inside of this. This is someone else's administration. This is the Bush administration, the Obama administration, Biden, obviously Clinton. These are people that are implicated in this. We even have stories detailing exactly how thoroughly Joe Biden is implicated. Sorry, Barack Obama is implicated in his network in sort of the Epstein scandal. He's remained sort of unscathed by this. But, like, why is Trump taking the bullet, for lack of a better term, on these files? And it has done political damage. So that's the question. It looks like the odds are on for it to be released after Christmas. God help us. I guess we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. December 19th, 66%, 77%, December 31st. Please don't do it right before Christmas. Let me do it right after Christmas. It's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of stories, I'm sure. But we'll see, ladies and gentlemen, what happens next. Let's stop talking about assassinations and BLM fraud and Somali fraud and marrying your brother. Goodness gracious, what a dark show. And Epstein. Oh, man. We need the verse of the day. Now we need the verse of the day. Today, from Psalm 117. I love a good psalm. Praise the Lord, all nations. Extol him, all peoples. For great is his steadfast love towards us, and the faithfulness of the Lord endures forever. Praise the Lord. Let's do it again, but with the Klein, do the Charlie Kirk video beside me of the memorial crowd. Praise the Lord, all nations. Extol him, all peoples. For great is his steadfast love towards us. The faithfulness of the Lord endures forever. Praise the Lord. Get back to that, ladies and gentlemen. Show gratitude and praise this morning. Join us in this Christmas season. Try not to get too bogged down. Maybe I'm just too terminally online, but podcast wars of 2025 have been sizzling. Stay focused. The enemy wants us distracted. They want us fighting each other. They want us abandoning the cause. And this is actually truly the cause of righteousness for the future of our nation. So march with us on to victory. It's your boy, Benny. And remember, in the end, we win. See ya.
What are you doing? Help! Please!
Hey! Go on inside. Hey, get down from there! Get out off the roof! Oh, my car! Hey, what's in that bag?
Good job, Santa. All right, come on. Let's go. I'm getting tired of catching you.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal reads. Soon will the penny show come to mind, the salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. Show come to mind, the salt from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun, we sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest king.